SBN Sports Business Now.
Hello and welcome to Sports Business Now Live. I'm your host, Holly Koski, and SBN Live is our weekly wrap-up show where we talk about all of the most popular topics on sportsbusinessnow.com. And as always, I'm joined by Jonathan Dusing and Jason Cole, co-founders of Row 27 and founders of SBN. Hi, guys. How are you doing today?
Hey,
Doing well, Holly. How are you?
Good to be
I'm good.
show.
I'm good. And join the conversation on Twitter using the hashtag SBNow. And we'll give you a shout out on air just like always. All right. So first,
dive in.
Let's just go for it. First topic, kind of going to start with the media side of things. So ESPN is really close to kind of securing their bid for the BCF playoffs, BCS playoffs, that will start in 2014. And the deal is 12 years, $7.3 billion, which is obscene.
With a B?
With a B.
Yeah.
And
this is just for the 4 games too, right?
This is for... It's an average...
5 games. Right?
5 games.
Five games, correct. Yep. Average cost per year of $125 million. So this is this is an addition to their contract bowls, the Rose Bowl, the Champions Bowl, and Orange Bowl. And so this is kind of pretty close to what CBS and Turner Sports actually paid for March Madness. They each pay over $700 million. For that. So
okay.
What are your thoughts on having it go to ESPN right off the bat?
I think if they had tested the open market, it would have been a lot higher with CBS
Agreed.
starting to start their own cable channel right now, and NBC really pushing NBC Sports as opposed to Versus at this point in time.
Right.
And locking it up for a decade is brilliant on the half of the Disney ESPN complex. But
John Skipper, quite the crafty one.
yes, he is.
I would say, I think 12 years is a little long. They might be selling themselves short. I think it's incredibly possible that after a few years of this thing becomes like the Super Bowl. I mean, it could be a really big, really big thing.
Kind of thing.
Yeah,
it could just be a really big thing, and 12 years is really good. I think the only thing good about 12 years is good for ESPN. It's not really good for the BCS.
I really would want to see the opt-out clause they have inside of it, because I think college football, when they see how much money is being generated by this and how profitable it is being for ESPN, if they have an opt-out, if they expand the playoff format or something like that, I think it'd be a natural move. And moving to something like a 12-team or a 16-team playoff, I mean, they have enough weeks to do that. You could use a lot of the bowls that are out there. It makes a lot of sense. And even if they did that, I guess ESPN would still have the
Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. I mean, we just finally are now getting a 5-game.
I know, that's progress.
But I think the 5 games could easily, in a combined, have the ad value of the Super Bowl. And, I feel like they may be selling themselves short, but I don't know.
No,
in 12 years, who are we watching, broadcast TV?
Yeah.
Are we watching TV
will
on
TV
cable?
be around in 12 years?
You're still going to watch what's live.
I know.
I mean?
I just mean it's going to... What's the landscape going to be like in 12 years for ESPN? I mean, it's it's going to be weird. It's going to be different.
Yeah, it's going to be. Live sports are only going to get more valuable. Live events are only going to get more valuable. So.
Mm-hmm.
And then moving on to kind of a smaller media rights, but still actually pretty cool. So the National Lacrosse League is going to actually broadcast games on YouTube, which I think is brilliant at trying to grow and expand the sport. And it's only a 9-team league, so it's not like you have a ton of product out there, but getting more eyes on it I think is great.
Yeah.
In full disclosure, we partner with the Minnesota Swarm, which is an NLL team here in town quite a bit, and have for years. And to be honest, the NLL is like one of my favorite sports to watch live.
Oh, it's so much fun.
It's intense.
Games are amazing.
And I think the biggest hurdle for them to get over is getting more people in the door to have that experience. And lacrosse is probably the fastest growing sport in the country right now. When you look at programs cropping up in high schools and colleges and youth programs, and getting more exposure in between the NLL and MLL and trying to become the preeminent pro league in this emerging dynamic makes a ton of sense. So this is pretty bold move on their part, and it'll be interesting to see how it plays out 2, 3, 4 years down the line.
I've got a handy map up on my computer, the one that you found of some of that growth. So, it's pretty explosive. And the sport is, well, it's not supposed to look like that.
That's odd.
All right. Back to us. All right.
Back to us.
But sorry, I got distracted. And your dog is walking in now. Anyways, it's an awesome sport. They fight more than hockey. Nobody stops them. It's just got all that fun that every league has in the beginning, when there aren't so many rules about what, they play music 24/7, throughout the thing. It's a really fun sport. So I think, broadcasting that on YouTube and getting more people involved is awesome. YouTube has done this before. They did it with the Indian cricket
League. We covered that on the old Row show.
Yeah. So, YouTube is all about original content lately. They've been putting a lot of money into their channels and original produced shows, and I think they'll push more and more into sports. And maybe in 2012 we'll be talking, not 2012.
13.
That is now. Oh my God! All right, 2024 we'll be talking about YouTube's bid for the BCS.
That'd be crazy. Yeah, that'd be pretty crazy.
So.
And, also CBS Sports Network has a deal with them currently, kind of an 8 to 10 game package. And they have a 5-year contract with that. They're in the second year, and they will still, broadcast games. So it's not like it's fully moving to YouTube or anything like that.
They have a ton of content outside of that. 'Cause what is it? A 16-game season, if I'm not mistaken, or is it a 12-game season? I think it's 16 games. They play
like
home and away to every team in the
9
league.
teams.
Yeah. So home and away, 16 game, and they're only broadcasting half of that for their game of the week thing. So it's an awesome sport.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, okay, moving on to more of our social media side of the show. Our back side of the show here is pretty social media heavy.
Yeah.
But NASCAR, recently Sports Business Journal just came out with an article kind of on the problems and, I guess, trials and tribulations that NASCAR is having with social media and, how to connect with their fans over many platforms like Facebook and Twitter. And, the article referenced a study done by Taylor, communications and marketing firm. And it showed that, NASCAR fans are really active over social media, especially Facebook. Their 18 to 34-year-old demographic, 78% of them use Facebook to access NASCAR information. And there was also another kind of tidbit in there that, NASCAR fans are more likely, I guess twice as more likely, to interact with a professional athlete or team via social media than NASCAR. Oh. So they're interacting with, the NFL players, MLB players, teams, things like that, 2 times more than those of NASCAR.
So what you're saying is NASCAR has no excuse to be so bad at social media?
Right, just because their fan base.
At least by that study.
It's not like, their fan base isn't on it or anything like that. It's really, kind of an interesting arena for them right now.
So a few more drivers need to take their cue from Danica Patrick, is what you're saying.
Yeah, or Brad Keselowski, who, tweeted during the Daytona 500 when there was a wreck, and he literally tweeted from the car of it, and he actually got fined $25,000 just on Monday because he tweeted during a red flag at an event.
If you used a sponsor hashtag doing that, I bet they would have paid for it.
That's true. Hey,
cover your fees.
Brad Keselowski, you better be listening to that. That's a great idea.
I know you. You participated in a little Twitter chat about that had a lot of talk about NASCAR. Mm-hmm. Did anything come out of that? Like, is there any suggestions people have for NASCAR? I mean, is there anything in particular they're doing really, really wrong, or are they just not doing anything or nothing?
The main thing I got out of that, and that was the social ticks for sales hashtag. It's on every Tuesday, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was interesting, just kind of seeing what people thought, NASCAR could be doing better. And a lot of it was fan engagement. Like, what could they do, for season ticket holders or just even the average fan to keep them engaged throughout the season because it's so long.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so, people were throwing around, like, kind of giving them tours of the garages before the game or, again, social media stuff race. Sorry about that. Tours and more social media stuff, more, driver meet and greets, even though they are pretty good about that. Mm-hmm. But the grocery store, appearance isn't working anymore. There needs to be something innovative within the field, I think. So.
Okay.
Yeah. That was an interesting piece from Sports Business Journal this week. And then online, Callaway is the exact opposite of NASCAR. They're doing some great stuff. So they just talked about, actually just launched Tweet to Unleash promotion. And what that is it's a campaign that encourages golfers to tweet with the hashtag longest driver in golf to get a look at the club and to enter to win one of 10 drivers that Callaway is releasing. So if you tweet it, you get the information basically. Otherwise, you don't have access to kind of details about the club.
The new clubs.
Yeah.
Sweet. So they're kind of doing like a Twitter exclusive on these clubs. So for this time period, if you're not involved with the tweeting, you don't get to find out about them, kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, and the site has like some demos of the club, and obviously this.
Yeah, I see some videos and stuff. Yeah.
Some videos. Yeah, and it kind of is almost a little social media hub in itself, where it tracks all of the tweets. It shows the press behind it, and it also has some of Callaway's team members on there as well, kind of hyping up the club because it actually is pretty sweet looking. But and then it shows the winning tweets, the actual people that have won the drivers so far.
That's cool.
Yeah. That's a pretty sweet campaign.
Yeah.
It's definitely a good way to release that. We see a lot of teams doing stuff around like schedule releases and stuff, especially in college basketball.
Yep.
Yeah. As things come out, and this kind of takes it to the next level. It's got a product, but the product could be the team on the court for what the season
like
schedule
an exclusive
is.
video.
And there's a lot you can do with that. Yeah.
This would be a really sweet way to release the special uniforms or new uniforms that you see Under Armour and Adidas and Nike doing for various
instead of
teams.
sending them to Taryn Rovell.
Right.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly.
Yes.
I saw what Nike did one on their blog for the Oregon game, Oregon USC game a couple weeks ago, and they produced a nice little video and stuff for it. So it's been done, but they're not doing any kind of exclusivity stuff like this. So
Right.
Yep, some good stuff to take from there. That's for sure.
Yeah. So Callaway is kind of the opposite right now with NASCAR. Different sports, but kind of same idea of just continuing that fan engagement and really utilizing your platforms to their fullest extent. And another platform that we talked about this week on the website was Pinterest, and how to monetize it in sports.
Yeah, they made some big moves this week.
Yeah, Pinterest recently just came out with, it's called Pinterest for Business. So your actual, your business can designate.
Those look really good.
I know. Can designate your page as a business site, and their blog has some really great case studies and best practices, and even some coding for some widgets that you can put on your site. So
is that the technical term, coding?
I guess so.
I'm just playing with it.
Okay, is it?
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. You could transition your personal account over to this new business account, which has some awesome new features, and obviously will continue to have even more and more features. But it's pretty neat.
I think Pinterest is a really, really solid shot at being a profitable enterprise. It's the first social network where people go to who find stuff to buy.
Yep.
And that really sort of sets it apart from anything else.
Yeah, and that's actually I'm not a huge Pinterest person because I'm male. But just kidding, slam. But it's there's a lot of opportunity there for Pinterest to be more male. But anyways, the site I really like, the Fancy is the name of the app, and it's a lot like Pinterest where it's just people are submitting cool things. Mm-hmm. But in Fancy, like specifically every single item has to be like purchasable. Mm-hmm. And I always felt like that's the thing like Pinterest needs, because everyone sees this stuff, and unless it's like a recipe or something that you make, like most of the time you see stuff and you're like, that's really cool. I want it. Take my money. Like where? You know? And they leave you hanging.
Yeah, I'm giving you my money.
It's such a natural thing to progress, into something like this.
If I was them, I would immediately do something like Amazon and just say you can list your item here, have a click to purchase button, we'll handle the transaction for you. It costs 12% of the deal or 10% of the deal.
Yeah.
Because everyone, when they post pins for stuff they like or stuff that they're buying from their store, immediately that becomes a one-click transaction if you put the right underpinnings to the entire system. And that is an extraordinarily profitable business model.
Yeah, and that brings us to what's on the screen right now is actually Sports Authority. They've created a couple boards on their Pinterest site. Gifts under $25, gifts under $50, and this one is gifts under $100. So, especially with the holidays coming up, that's a great, idea. And you just click on the shoe in this case, and it takes you right to their site, and you can check out right away and be good to go. So
perfect. Yep.
Yeah, as you can see here. So I know you mentioned the Amazon kind of feature. There actually is a service out there. It's called shopinterest.co, and it's an e-commerce platform that lets anyone turn their Pinterest boards really into online stores. Yeah. Granted, it's not a free service, but they're in beta right now. It's just launched, so
it probably shouldn't be free anyways.
Right,
yeah. So
right.
Basically, it's watching your Pinterest, turning that into like an e-commerce solution.
Right. Yeah. And
I've got it up here if you want to put it up on there.
Yeah. So if you sign up with them, they actually have a couple of stores that are, I believe, already on board. But the idea behind it is, you create those boards and slap a price tag on it. So then you can create profit off of it, and it's free through the holidays, just as kind of a promotion. And also, if a team or a brand doesn't want to create a whole nother separate account, all you have to do is really just put the $ in front of a number or something like that. So if you're advertising a product or, let's say the newest Nike sweatshirt, you can just put this is $69.99 with the $, and it'll have that just little price tag thing that was shown, on the Sports Authority board.
On the corner? Yeah. Okay.
So that's kind of a simple kind of trick to, again, link people back to your main e-commerce site. And,
maybe it'll encourage brands to have, or sports teams to have cooler stuff too.
Right. Or licensing options.
And surface some of the more interesting things that they have in their store, besides basic shirts and stuff.
Right. And like what you said, people go to Pinterest to get inspired on what to buy, and actually,
especially for the wedding.
Exactly. But BizRate Insights, they actually did another cool study where they found that Pinterest motivates more online purchases than Facebook, obviously. Yeah. And then 70% said they use Pinterest for, shopping inspiration and keeping up with the trends or to find that perfect gift. And then another kind of interesting fact is that 66% also said that they regularly follow and repin retailers. So they follow a sports authority.
It's not faux pas,
right.
to do that kind of thing because, it's good. Yeah.
And so, again, just, that kind of mushroom
And that's something
effect.
we're seeing with Facebook more and more is the more you interact with retailers, the more you get bombarded with spam and stuff. So we're seeing people want to do that less and less.
Right.
They're unliking brands, especially now with the sponsored posts showing up and that kind of thing. So it's good to have another option where brands aren't a bad thing when we're talking about purchases and stuff. So
yeah, at the end of the day, I think it was a blog post that you showed me talking about Facebook's newsfeed sort of rolling off of the Mark Cuban riff we had a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And one of the main takeaways from that entire blog post was the primary goal of an advertisement is to be content. And Pinterest itself just does that so well because all of the content is a product that is generated within the entire site, whether it's a recipe or whether it's something you can purchase.
Yeah.
I suppose you can purchase a recipe, but that's beside the point.
Better be a dang good recipe. That's all I gotta say. And another interesting story for our whiff of the week, in my opinion, at least, we'll see if you guys agree with this, actually got picked up by Mashable and GeekWire, so from our sites. So that was pretty cool.
Congratulations, Holly. It's always good to be copied.
Can we slow cut?
Yeah, slow.
Yeah.
Okay. But actually, the University of Washington, their athletic department restricts the amount of tweets that media members can make, which sounds pretty ridiculous in my opinion.
It's interesting.
And how I came about this was actually I saw a tweet from a friend of mine who retweeted the beat writer for the Tacoma News Tribune, where he tweeted out, he's the beat writer for University of Washington football and basketball. He tweeted out, "Tonight I was reprimanded by the University of Washington for tweeting too much during a live event. The university has a cap on tweets and game thread entries during live events, so expect less coverage going forward because of this policy."
Wow.
And he actually, tweeted out the university's policy stated on their website, which says, they have the right to remove credential holders access to the game if they go over their limits, which are, they recommend it to be 20 total in-game updates for basketball and 45 total in-game updates for for football, excuse me.
Is it?
I don't know. I think maybe they're trying to instill like some best practices, because it is annoying if like you tweet.
Well, clearly they're trying to protect their brand and their Twitter accounts,
Yeah. Well, are they tweeting more than that? Maybe they're just trying to protect their live stats on their website and people watching the game and that kind of stuff.
They did say that they have a kind of a live stream discussion on on a channel of their website of something like that sort. But what's odd to me is, how is a media personnel, someone different than a fan in the stands, live tweeting as well to all of their followers? I mean, granted, a beat writer probably has a bigger following than the average fan, but what if their fans or the fans following is influential, and there's how are you controlling this? And that's kind of a interesting issue coming up. Is this another like broadcast media rights kind of sort of thing?
Yeah, that would be
almost, huh?
Along with your TV and internet streaming, we want to control your social media output.
Well, they're just trying to limit, like any other broadcast rights, the live information as it happens.
This is the exact opposite of what you've seen happen, like everywhere else, from the Cleveland Indians to St. John's to Seattle, who's your next point. It seems pointless and destined to failure.
Well, it's gotten a lot of negative, kickback, which is this doesn't need to happen. They don't need to have limits like this. I mean, obviously, I don't think that's a lot of tweets to have 20 tweets during the game. During a basketball game. But to have now this being brought in the forefront of the sports PR and media landscape, I don't think was needed for them.
I don't know. It might be the beginning of something.
Well, it says in here, periodic updates of score stats or other brief descriptions of the competition through the event are acceptable as long as they don't exceed the recommended frequency. I mean, what do you do if you're like in a football game that goes into overtime?
Right.
And it's like Washington versus Washington State, and you're on your 45th tweet. I'm sorry.
Well,
you're done now.
It's all their discretion, though, But it might have just been some like boilerplate stuff to kind of protect them from someone like doing live stats via Twitter, and then somehow
maybe like setting up an account
a different way. But
and Twitter would kick you off if you are tweeting that much. Like I've gotten kicked off of Twitter where you get the fail whale where it says Twitter is over capacity.
Really?
And
when did this happen?
Oh, I don't know. It's probably during some Indiana basketball game.
Yeah, probably. You're like, Holly, we get it.
Exactly.
You like Indiana.
Exactly.
Right. The refs suck. Okay, cool. Got it.
Right. But that the NCAA doesn't have a policy, other schools in the NCAA, but during tournaments there is a policy enacted, I guess. So not regular season, but in like the NCAA tournament or things like that.
I feel like I've heard that now.
Yeah, so that's interesting that no one really knows about that, but now it's coming to the forefront. And
this may be a transitional thing, and there might be the first ones to stick their neck out. I mean, this may be something that's becoming that might become more standard. And if nothing else, I mean, it's probably best practice not to tweet like every freaking play, anyways. So it might just be them just trying to class it up a little bit, so that their fans don't get annoyed by just their coverage, but also the paper's coverage.
This isn't the type of thing.
Not that it's really their place or anything.
You have a great point. This isn't the type of thing that you write when. This isn't the type of thing that you write when someone hasn't broken this and been a problem. You know, it's not like you're thinking around about prospective things that could go wrong, and you're like, let's cap tweets. Like, I would love to see what the problem was that caused them to institute this problem or this policy. It would be it'd be kind of funny to look at.
Yeah, I mean, the beat writer got scolded. I don't think he went over this. I know, but he got the finger waving. And
little minute ball.
But it's actually funny because the Seattle University men's basketball head coach, Cameron Dollar, which I love his last name.
Dollar bills, y'all.
Dollar bills. He tweeted at the beat reporter, said, "Come to Key Arena, no tweet restrictions here," which I thought was really, great on his part. And, Seattle could totally use this as kind of just spin it on them basically, and have like a tweet-a-thon at a basketball game one night, or try to get a hashtag,
try to break some record of
trending,
most tweets.
right? Just to kind of play off of their coach's kind of savvy, being aware of Twitter. So
I want to back up to the previous point quick, because it just occurred to me, like, if you pull my media pass, I can just watch on one of the wonderful Pac-12 network channels the game live and tweet like 85 times still. So I don't get what you're actually accomplishing.
That's what I'm saying.
I know, but these guys are, if he's assigned to the team, he's supposed to be getting a lot of other stuff covered, not just. So if he can't go to practice and find out about injuries and stuff like that, they're a bad news source, after that. But I doubt it's going to happen. Bad news source. I don't
know. It'll be,
but it's not like that's going to happen. So it's kind of interesting. I guess this Todd guy seems nice. Like he's not going to push it, but it'd be interesting.
Yeah, no, it'd just be interesting because it has generated discussion of, does like the school really own those, rights as much as, their broadcasting rights or controlling tweets and things like that.
They own. Yeah, when people whip out a video camera and it's nice enough, and they try to tape a game, they're gonna have problems. YouTube. I mean, stuff happens. Yeah, YouTube obviously. But this could just be an extension of that. But obviously, from marketers' perspective, this seems like a bad idea because volume is usually good. We think so. But I've had follow people like yourself. You don't do it too much, but some people. Friends or famous people that like live tweet games, and you're just like, oh my god. Especially if you're watching the game.
My favorite is
I've add an opinion, not a fact, right?
Right, that's annoying. True.
Yeah.
I've followed people that have, watched, let's say, like a sitcom or a drama or anything like that.
Yeah.
After it airs, so like everyone else has seen it, but they're catching up on Hulu or.
Are you sure they're not like they're on Hulu, not like on the West Coast?
Right. No, it's like 2 days after.
Yeah.
It's not like West Coast.
Oh my God, Homeland this week.
Right. Yeah. Like Homeland. Oh, that just happened, and I'm like, really? This happened 2 days ago. But.
Season 3 of Dexter was intense.
Did you see The Walking Dead like 2 weeks ago?
Not a Walking Dead fan.
Nuts.
Brian is.
Brian likes it. Yeah.
Big fan.
Yeah. They kill main characters that show like it's their job.
Spoiler alert.
Oh,
like I said, but it's already aired.
I haven't watched it yet.
Just
but
saying.
okay.
It was 2 weeks ago.
Well, before we get too into TV, that's a whole nother conversation. Even though a great one, a whole different one.
Sure.
Thank you guys for joining us. And as always, insightful comments.
Yeah, you really got to find some other people though, because I don't feel like we're adding anything here. But
probably not.
All right,
I'm just kidding. We're fine.
That's up to the viewer, I guess. We'll see the feedback on that one.
Sure.
And thank you guys for joining us as well. Be sure to check out sportsbusinessnow.com throughout the week for all of the latest stories, and you can also watch the replay on our YouTube channel, just Sports Business Now. And we'll see you next week.
SBN Sports Business Now.